Hi, everyone. It's my greatest pleasure to welcome you today at our session, which will give you deep insights into how Devoteam worked with the Adecco Group to improve IT stability with ITOM. My name is Eliška, and I will be your guide for today. And before we will go to that part where we introduce our amazing speakers, I would like to just add two very important points. So for the first, the questions. If you have guys any questions during the session, please feel free to use the webinar question panel, which you can find or you have on your right side. You can just type the question in. I will receive it on my end, and I will then collect them, and the questions will be answered to you at the end of the session. The second point to add, this session is being recorded, and you will be, of course, provided with the webinar recording after that. We will be in touch with you via email. And now let me please introduce our speakers for today. I'm very pleased to pass the mic to our very special guest, Alexandru Ureche from the Adecco Group. Enjoy the session, guys.
Thank you, Eliška. So I'm Alexandru Ureche. I am the head of the Command and Control Center at Adecco Group. I have more than 20 years experience in IT field, having various roles like consultant, project manager, service manager, providing support or solution for railway, retail, FMG, or human resource today. I was working for both sides, service provider or from the client side. Thank you.
Michael. Hello guys, my name is Michael. I'm based in Denmark, where I have the role of being the ITOM lead for ServiceNow at Devoteam. I have a long history of working with ITSM, infrastructure and monitoring, something that is a very big advantage when implementing ITOM.
Hello everyone, my name is Ondrej Ernyei. I'm solution architect from Devoteam, Czech Republic, located in Prague. I have many years of experience in ServiceNow with various products, but last couple of years focusing mainly on ITOM. I have more than 20 years in the IT industry. My background is systems management and monitoring. So, what do we have on the menu for today? In the introduction, we will first say a few words about both of our companies, Devoteam and the Adecco Group. Before coming to the main part, which is the success story at Adecco, we will set the scenes by explaining why companies select ServiceNow ITOM as the key enabler in their digital transformation, and what actually ITOM is and what value it brings. And then Alexandru from the Adecco Group will tell you about the success story at the Command and Control Center and how ITOM is used there. And lastly, we will be pleased to answer your questions. And as Eliška said, feel free to post your questions into the chat of this webinar. Let us first introduce our two companies. First, a few words about Devoteam. Devoteam is a mid-sized company with about 8,000 professionals and presence in 19 countries in EMEA region. On ServiceNow, we have more than 10 years of experience as the ServiceNow partner, delivering transformation projects, implementing ServiceNow products in areas such as IT service management, IT business management, IT operations management, human resources, customer service management, or cybersecurity. We have been recognized as Allied ServiceNow partner in 2019. In 2020, we have received a regional partner award for EMEA. And this year, we are very proud to be named winner as ServiceNow EMEA and even global IT workflow partner. We have more than 250 certified IT and business professionals covering the full ServiceNow platform end-to-end, from the design, implementation on the platform, and the running phase with our managed services. In ITOM specifically, we have delivered many projects following our convictions that it's the technology for the people and not vice versa, respecting that it's the people who are in the center. We are connecting business and technology. Our mission is to let our clients imagine and realize better change to improve their IT operations, as we will hear later in this webinar. And now I would like to hand over to Alex to tell us about the Adecco Group.
Yeah, thanks, Ondrej. The Adecco Group is one of the largest human resources provider and temporary staffing. And as I'm an IT guy, it's easier for me to speak in numbers. So we have more than 30,000 colleagues, full employees in Adecco, sitting in around 60 countries around the world, and 3.5 million careers are enabled annually. The Adecco Group, in Adecco Group, we are focusing on the 3 global units. The Adecco, the global leader workforce solution company, offering flexible placement, permanent placement, and outsourcing across all the sectors. We have talent solution, helping companies with their workforce transformation and career transition, or outsource their processes. The talent solution unit supports company and candidates through reskilling or upskilling, career development, and periods of transition. And nevertheless, Modis, it's a global leader in technology and digital engineer consulting, talent services, and skilling, delivering cross-industry expertise and enable digital transformation and accelerate innovation. If you want to have more information about the Adecco Group, please don't hesitate to join and to check our website, adeccogroup.com, where you can find more information about us.
Thank you for that. So let's talk a little bit about why ITOM. We're seeing a lot of attention and a lot of interest on this topic from our customers, and with good reason, because ITOM serves both as a tool and as a process, especially in IT, but also because it's something that creates a foundation that unifies the business all the way from core IT to actual non-technical departments. Before we dive too much into how it does that, I want to start this session with a short but very important message from Einstein. He once said that data without context is just organized information. I personally find that very interesting because, of course, we want to have our data organized. But the true value comes when we put that data into a context. A CMDB is truly valuable when we know the context between our components and services, and when we can utilize that information in our decisions. Context is something that we'll be referring to throughout the session because we believe that it's the key in a good CMDB. For years, we've been using this people, process, and technology triangle, but as data is such a big part of our day, we actually believe that it should be a part of this equation. We've then put ITOM in the middle because it's the tool that connects process, people, technology, and data throughout the business. None of these have value unless they're being supported and used and governed correctly. We believe that ITOM is key in this, because when we connect the ITIL processes and the organizational change with the technology and data quality in ITOM, we give people the best prerequisites to perform and succeed in their jobs. This should ultimately result in a better service delivery, where all the units of the business work together and not just in core IT. At Devoteam, we strongly believe that ITOM is fundamental in the digital transformation. Big words, let's try to see why we do that, why we think that. The reason we think ITOM is so important is that it brings value to so many parts of the business. It creates both, as I said previously, a data and a process foundation to many people and areas within the business. All the way from the service desk to service owners who gets much better insight to the service and who can use that information for deep analysis and optimization. The risk managers, because having a solid CMDB provides great value to the GRC department. Naturally, in the bottom, we have the IT operations who benefit greatly as they get this server and service context. They can better understand how their monitoring alerts impacts the business and what to prioritize. All the way up to the CIO, possibly achieving cost reductions and optimization and reduced downtime. But while this is some of the individuals and the departments getting from ITOM, there's also a lot of areas and modules within within ServiceNow that really kicks off when you have ITOM. Of course, we have the CMDB in the middle, GRC as mentioned before, which becomes easier and better and much more precise when we have this context. Customer service management, contract management, SecOps are other examples of areas that can be improved using ITOM. Last but definitely not least, the ITSM processes, which we'll be talking more about later. Right. I think I've spoken enough, and let's try to see why we're so keen on ITOM and be a little bit more concrete to see how ITOM actually enables some of these capabilities and possibilities. For that, I'll hand the word over back to you, Ondřej.
Thank you, Michael. So now I would like to tell you what ITOM is and what are the practical values that this product suite is bringing. So let's first begin with the explanation what ITOM is. So it is a suite of standalone products that complement each other and create synergy. We have Discovery, which brings together all our devices on the network, for example, servers, routers, switches, and so on in our CMDB, and automatically builds the relationship between them. Service Mapping, which takes CMDB components together and builds and maps service trees. Event Management, which sends monitoring events to get insight into the service status overview and puts alerts in context to the CMDB and business services. And lastly, Cloud Management, which is, as the name suggests, a tool to manage a hybrid cloud environment. Now to the related capabilities, orchestration, which is not a product from the ITOM suite, but it is related to it. It is a ServiceNow platform feature for automating technical services. It can be something like a password reset or a remediation activity as part of an issue resolution. And then we have add-ons to enhance the essential ITOM products by a very nice pieces of technology. Operational intelligence and health log analytics to bring predictive capabilities, and that's together with ITOM Health form the product bundle called Predictive AI Ops. And then we have Agent Client Collector. We will talk more about these later. Now I'm bringing a simplified picture for a visual overview of where and how ITOM products apply. So first in the middle, we have CMDB, at the core of both ITOM and the holistic view of services and the link to the ITSM processes. With ITOM, we get Discovery to update the CMDB automatically. Then we have Service Mapping, which is the method to put all our devices in an application context and to make our CMDB service aware. Event Management to link monitoring with CMDB and to understand impact based on the CMDB data. Cloud Management, and finally orchestration or automation with examples of automated tasks, as you can see here. ITSM and ITOM go hand in hand because it is with ITSM that we put process power under ITOM and vice versa, which brings us back to the link with people, process, technology, and data, as mentioned earlier by Michael. We will talk more about these processes in just a little while. So now let's go a bit deeper to a few of the ITOM products. And let's begin with Discovery. So what Discovery is, as said already, this is the way we automatically update the CMDB. There are many ways to do this, but the unique thing about Discovery is the ability to make these relationships and dependencies, which I have mentioned already. So it finds out how different components talk to each other from the network layer all the way down to the storage level. For example, here we can see that we have a Windows server in the middle, which is connected to an ES6 server, what network it runs and what software it has. If we drill down a bit deeper, we would also be able to see which switch the ES6 server uses. Our landscape in IT is constantly changing, and Discovery is a huge help to form a dynamic overview of the connections. When we know the dependencies and contexts, it is also much easier to assess both impact of issues that have occurred and impact and probable risk of a change, for example, that is being planned. It is also important to mention that Discovery is agentless. Being agentless means that we do not have to push software onto all devices to run discovery on them. Discovery is the foundation of service mapping, which brings me to this topic of service mapping. So while discovery finds our devices and how they connect to each other, we are still not in the context of an application or a service to know what components a given service consists of. We can do that with service mapping. Traditionally, in IT, you have often made a Visio diagram or a nice Word document that you had to document the system. It's a good picture in the current moment, but as our landscape moves, this gets outdated very quickly with the changes in IT infrastructure. Service mapping can help with that. Service mapping takes care of building and keeping our service maps updated automatically, and at the same time, it documents the changes that occur. The example here shows my customer portal application, which consists of various websites, SQL databases, and some Apache. It does not show just servers, but also the specific databases, which means that if you create another database, the service tree will get updated with that change. The great value comes when we tie it together with the ITSM processes. So service mapping gives you an overview of incidents, changes, and problems on the single view. In this picture, we have a change about upgrading a database. If the business users are now experiencing problems with this application, and we know that there is a database upgrade from yesterday, then it is possible that these two things could be somehow connected. It provides an insight into what is going on or has taken place related to the service. It has focus on the backend, of course, but you can also use it actively in planning, which to me is one of the really big wins in service mapping. Because when we select a CI in a change request, the impacted services tab will automatically populate the services where our components are used to some degree. And when we know the potential impact on services, we can much better minimize the risk. We will need to include the service owners in the approval of that change, of course. And in that way, you can create a link between IT operations and service delivery managers or service owners or similar roles. So it was intro on the CMDB and services part, and now let's move on and see how to tie this information together with monitoring. Event management performs gathering and consolidating monitoring events from different sources and then putting this into context to the CMDB and the services we offer, supported by different predictive and proactive mechanisms. Event management doesn't replace the monitoring, but for the administrators, what it brings is that they do not have to switch between different consoles of different monitoring tools, because ServiceNow will become the only place that they have to overlook the state of the whole business layer. As mentioned in the introduction, I have also worked with monitoring tools for many years, and for me, monitoring is pretty much about these three things. It is to be proactive, to find the root cause, and to understand impact. Of course, it's hard to be proactive if someone pulls the plug. When someone does pull the plug, or in some other situations where a problem always triggers an avalanche of other alarms, then the root cause is often hard to find in the noise. When this happens, it is crucial to have a logic that makes it clearly understood. So let's try now to have a look at these mechanisms. In the top picture here, I have an alarm from SolarWinds that the router is offline. In fact, I have 7 routers offline. With the correlation logic, event management has created a group with 7 other alarms and 1 probable root cause, where it mentions another alarm, namely a switch that is offline, as the root cause. It has done so based on the topology and relationships that the discovery has found. Another example could be an expired certificate, which triggers multiple alarms, or a hypervisor that goes down. One more function worth mentioning is the alert similarity concept that gets textually similar alerts closed in the past with the AI-powered engine. It has natural language understanding. With this function, event operators can get more contexts and hints from how the past alerts were resolved. The second problem agent is facing is understanding impact. We can assess much better when we know the dependencies through relationships in the CMDB. In the bottom picture, we have a database which is offline, and because we have service-aware CMDB, we can see that this one database actually affects 8 services. And then when we put ServiceNow Event Management down over the business services, which will provide a real-time view of the status of our services based on a business criticality matrix. This image can, of course, be made personal by function, NOC, infra, or server administrator, application owner, operations manager. From here, what you can do is to drill down to an individual service, still with the ITSM processes linked in this user interface. Here we have my North America e-payment service. Here on the top, what you can see is the history map button, where you can track the history of the service outage. So now we have dived a little into the essential products or essential features in this product suite, and how they work individually, and when we tie them together. There are, of course, many more details and options that we can share. But now let's talk about what you can have on top of these essential products. Imagine how it would be nice if, as part of monitoring with your event management can learn the normal behavior of your IT infrastructure and applications and detect when that normal is breached. So this is exactly what ServiceNow Predictive AI Ops does with the operational intelligence and health log analytics. They detect early symptoms based on metrics and raw logs and provide a description of the root cause with context on how it developed. It gives you an early warning indicator that something is going wrong in your environment, and it may be something that you may or even may not be monitoring. And when that happens, you also get a description of the impact of the problem, so that now you can really work in a proactive mode, preventing outages before they actually happen. And the second add-on, and also my last slide in my part, is about Agent Client Collector, which is a framework that can be used across ServiceNow products with various use cases. The first use case to mention is in ITOM Health for monitoring to get raw events and metrics from devices. With ACC, ServiceNow enters the space of direct monitoring without the need to have a third-party monitoring tool. There are also other use cases in discovery, SecOps, software asset management, and lastly in IT service management, for example, for a fast response during resolution of an incident. So this is all from my side. And now, as mentioned earlier, feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and I will be pleased to answer them by the end of this webinar. And now I would like to thank you, Alexandru, for accepting your participation on this webinar as a speaker. And now the floor is yours.
Yes. Thank you, Ondřej and Michael, for inviting me to this webinar. I think it's a good opportunity to share with others what we managed to build together and how ITOM is helping us to bring the stability in our IT ecosystem. So Ondřej mentioned before about the proactivity, and this is also one of our important goals. What we want to achieve with the Command and Control Center is to move our IT support organization from reactive to proactive and towards preventative and predictive, meaning knowing when an incident will happen and also stopping it from happening by taking the appropriate actions. How can we do this? By implementing event management integrated with ITSM to ensure that incidents coming from the monitoring are real incidents and are well qualified, by removing false and reducing the noise, false alerts. In this way, we are eliminating the time consuming, the ping pong communication between the teams on one hand, and on the other hand is to accelerate our time to resolution and improve the service availability. Another important decision was to have a dedicated major incident management team to become the global orchestrator of all P1, P2, and major incidents, regardless of the service, location, and service provider, ensuring consistency across all the region or source party. This is contributing to shortening the major incidents that could not be avoided. So, it's important to understand what was the initial state, what was the trigger to set up the command and control center. So I think it's something that was we are facing, and I face in other organizations. Speak with my colleagues working in IT. They have the same issue, so it's not something happening only in my organization. One of the main challenge was to the IT health overall. This is related to the big number of the outages and the duration of these outages, or each team or vendor used to have their own monitoring solution. Let's don't forget about working in silos. It's contributed to IT health overall. Another big challenge was around support activities. Here we can speak about the number of tickets, big number of the tickets, unclear prioritization, or sometime lack of ownership. We can highlight also the failure rate for the changes implemented. Sometimes because of the missing of proper monitoring solution, we used to be notified by the users about outages or degradation of the services or application. Nevertheless, I think an important challenge is also around the state of the ITSM. We can speak about poor quality of the data in the CMDB and ServiceNow over customized. Where we want to be. As I mentioned before, our goal is to move the IT support organization from reactive to proactive towards preventative and predictive. Is to be able to detect any issue before impacting the business. Is to be able to cover all the IT operation 24/7 globally. Is to have a clear support model in place and roles and responsibilities well defined. Is to implement automation to avoid human error and to save labor. Is to have the knowledge base in place which can facilitate the shift to left in our organization. So now let's spend a couple of minutes to tell you what we achieved in our first year of existence and to highlight our important milestones. And by the way, on December 1st this year, we celebrated our first anniversary, the moment when we had our go live. So now let's go back on October 2020, when was decided to have the command and control center based in EMEA IT Hub in Prague, Czech Republic, and event management capability within the ServiceNow by using ITOM. November last year, we started to define the solution and to design and to discuss the approach of the delivery. On December 2020, last year, was our go live. That time we started slowly with covering 8x5. We put in place the foundation of the command and control center. We started to manage globally the major incidents and for all P1 and the P2. Starting to host the daily service review to provide the overview of IT operation. And we started to put in place the foundational event management with a limited scope around the IT operation, network, or security. Another important milestone was that we started to technical go live for the ITOM. When my colleagues from the command and control center, they help us to the test with the testing of the important functionalities in the production of the ITOM. On February this year, we put in production and we had our business go live for the ITOM. We started to use in our daily operation and really make our life easier. May 17th, it's an important date for me and for the command and control center. We became 24/7. We started to cover monitoring globally. We started to all the major incidents 24/7 to be managed by my team. Emergency changes were in our hands, so we started to analyze, review, and approve when it was the case globally. During the summer, we managed to implement many enhancements, which is helping us now to onboard services very easily and smoothly and enable remediation. In all this time, we onboard the application and services and in the command and control center. We plan a lot of trainings, and now we are really able to monitor and to provide good support. So it's important to understand what we decided to have the event management and why. What are the value of the event management? By adopting the ServiceNow out-of-the-box event management module, allow us to bring capabilities that contribute to the services health visibility, to improve event signal to noise ratio, and bring alerts to the analysts that matter. We put in place operational dashboards to have the health of overview. We build dedicated operator workspace dashboard, which is helping the analyst now to prioritize fast and take the decision on the action needed. And nevertheless, we consolidate the events from different sources. By adopting the ServiceNow out-of-the-box for event management, enable us to adopt future enhancement, which is stay close to the best practice, which should ensure now the shortened reaction time by managing alerts in one console, to increase end user satisfaction by minimizing downtime. I mentioned before about the outage hours, the big downtime, to lower the MTTR by leverage capabilities to detect, diagnose, and resolve incidents faster, and helping to save the labor, increase service uptime, and ensure future simplify onboarding of the services into the command and control center in the consistent manner. Let's speak maybe more about more in details about what are the blocks of our event management. All strategic event sources have been connected into event management with various monitoring types like infra and application monitoring, cloud resources, and cloud infrastructure monitoring, putting in place end-to-end synthetic monitoring, end-user experience monitoring, application, and anomaly. Having the strategic monitoring tool set connected enables onboarding of the application to our scope fast based on the current business demand. Having the alert management is another important brick. In the first step was to reduce the number of the incidents. As I mentioned, we had the big volume of these incidents. It's bringing us to ability to react operational issue and security alerts very fast. We use it out of the box. We just did some small adjustment to improve it to our needs. Next, we managed to build automatic remediation mechanism. This is giving to our colleagues automation tool for the fast service recovery and allowing to replace some legacy automation tools. So as we wanted, by the way, to reduce the noise and focus on the real alerts, we implemented the maintenance rules, which is helping us to mark the alerts during the planned outages from active change request or for a regular scheduled maintenance window, and exclude them from the service impact calculation. All these alerts are marked clearly for the analysts, for my colleagues from the command and control center, and are only informative and no action are required. Let's don't forget about reporting. I think reporting is important for any kind of organization. It's important to know where we are, and this is giving you a direction where you want to be. We have operational and trends reporting by using performance analytic features of ServiceNow to show our team performance using event management product and indicate trends, which is enabling planning of improvements. This is giving us useful information for the problem management. We are working closely with the problem management team. Lastly, and which I think is very important for the command and control center, is knowledge management, is support the shift left initiative of the command and control center. We set up knowledge management for our purpose in the command and control center by using the Adecco processes baseline with improved ability to search knowledge directly from alert form. Is helping us to react very fast. Is helping us and helping our colleagues to know what to do in this kind of situation. And I think I'm the end of my presentation, but before to finish my intervention here, I want to share with you how our command and control center room look like. And it's also to show you that there are real people behind the command and control center services, and by having the right tools and following the right processes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexandru. I think this is very interesting and a very good showcasing of how ITOM can be used in an organization as your size. So we really appreciate you sharing your experiences. We're coming to an end, but before we do that, I quickly want to recap some of the many benefits that we can realize with ITOM. Naturally, the fundamental value is an automated CMDB with high accuracy and providing a complete infrastructure overview, an insight to the state of our services based on the criticality, where we always know which alert and which incident to prioritize, getting this root cause analysis and generally minimizing the recovery time. Also, how different departments can actively use the data from ITOM, GRC being a very popular example, but there's numerous examples. And also the connection to the ITSM processes, where the minimization of change is one of the greatest advantages. Of course, realizing these benefits takes time. It's a journey. It's a journey that can take time, and one that has both a technical and a process side. We want to mature. We want to move away from this chaotic firefighting mode into a data-driven and fact-based and more predictive world, where the time is spent innovating instead of putting out fires all over the place. When you do embark on this journey, be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day, neither is a good CMDB. But taking a phased approach, adding value in each step, remembering the processes and the people, and with good sponsorship, you will eventually get there. On that note, time is now for you to ask any questions that you might have. All questions are welcome, both technical questions and process questions. So fire away if you have anything, and we'll get you a little bit of time to write down what you have.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much, guys, for all of your inputs. I already received a few of the questions, so I will try to read them one by one, so you can answer them on your end. So the first one: what was the biggest challenge during the implementation, both for customer and for implementator? So I will leave it on you guys. Who wants to pick this first one?
I can take from my side if you want.
Yeah, please do.
I think in my organization, one of the biggest, let's say, challenge was to change the organization mindset. You know, it was the first time when we started to use event management in our organization, to start to consolidate and to start to monitoring the centrally all the application. But I think with the right partner and we did it. We managed quite well.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Alex. Anyone else wants to add anything to that?
Yeah, just to add a little bit. As I said, there's both this technical and the process side, and it's very important to remember both. It doesn't really matter if we have a lot of data if we don't use it actively. And Alexandru is a very good example of that we use the correct data in the correct processes and for the correct people.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you. Ondřej?
I think that Alex has said the main part in answering this question, but of course there are always technical challenges and project challenges. So as mentioned, ServiceNow is often over customized, and customers are suffering from the poor CMDB data quality. So these were also factors that we needed to fight somehow, but we managed. And
Perfect.
all good going forward.
All right, so moving to the second question. What is the timeline for getting anomaly monitoring giving reliable input? Mike,
for you.
Yep.
I can take it, or maybe Ondrej, up to you. So in general, we are, because we discussed about the team performance, and we are evaluating the team performance. We are able now to, let's say, to have an average of 3 minutes to process an alert.
All right, perfect. So another one. Did you get any automation with service mapping? Is service mapping still today somewhat manual?
So this is probably a question to Alex about service mapping, right? So I can begin with explaining that service mapping is not implemented yet at Adecco. So of course we are looking at opportunities to use it. So currently service trees are being built manually in the CMDB. So Alex, if you would like to also add some comments on that.
No, yeah, exactly. As you mentioned, we are in the process for application already onboarding the command and control center. We started, we anticipated this, but we are in progress to implement service mapping for all the application services.
Perfect. So I have here one more. It's addressed to Alex, so it's all about challenges, but maybe there's something more to add to that. So besides all the challenges, how far would you say you are through onboarding application infra/services? So where are you at the journey at the moment? How would you describe that?
I would say we are at the beginning of the journey, yeah. So, and we don't need to stop. We had a target, and in general, I like to have tough targets and to push to my team over the limit. Today, and when we celebrated December 1st, we managed to reach our target. We had for this year 150 application. On December 1st, we had 153 application. But we are putting other target, a big target for us to onboard an additional 300 application. So next year will be really challenging for us.
Okay, so let's continue. This is the long one, so I will try to read it clearly for you guys. So what were the challenges that you run into while deploying agents across Unix, Windows, Linux, storage, and database platforms? Did your IT security demand that you use a central approach to privilege account management, such as CyberArk? That's maybe for Ondřej or Michael.
Yeah, so I can answer that. So we are currently using agentless approach. So for both discovery and in event management space for remediations, we are not installing any agents. So of course, to match the security demands is always a challenge, and we are using some of the advanced security hardening mechanisms. So CyberArk is used at Adecco, and also we are using some other technologies that are native to Microsoft based Windows operating system. So we use these to become compliant with the security policies.
Yeah, and just to elaborate, of course, this is a challenge a lot of places. A lot of places, they know that we need to find some kind of a way to agree on this. So a big factor for me is working with the security department to find a common ground to stand on that satisfies both parties. And we have a number of mitigating factors and things that we can use to reduce the security perspective. It can be like CyberArk, as Ondrej says. It can also be using group managed service accounts and frequently changing the passwords and a lot of different methods to reduce the security aspect.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, guys. And moving to the other questions, we still have a bit of time, so let's answer those. Where do you recommend customers start? What would be your starting point if the customer is speaking with you about this topic?
So I will take this question. So I would say first you can start with event management and discovery from the ITOM suite, and no matter which one you select, there will be no like faulty step to begin with, because especially as you will be approaching the implementation with the iterative approach, you will see the values coming from the beginning. In event management space, to consolidate monitoring, in the discovery, where you will see the CMDB with fresh data that is reflecting the reality. So do not be afraid, and just begin, and you will see where it brings you if there are any challenges. So you can always try to find ways how to take them.
Yeah, and also, and just to give a comment on that too, it also largely depends on where you are as a company. You know, I talked to several companies who has a good CMDB, not necessarily using discovery, but another method, and then they can start using event management. And for the customers who doesn't have a very good CMDB, then discovery would be probably the one to start with, building that CMDB so that event management and service mapping can be better utilized. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. There's one more question about the processes. That you mentioned the processes are important. Do you have any examples of which processes are actually important? What does it mean?
That sounds like a question for me, so I'll take that. Referring back to this people, process, data, and technology, I believe that one of the most processes is around the governance, and that's a big topic. But as I said previously, we can create a lot of valuable CIs and services and alerts, but we have to make sure that they're being used correctly. We have to make sure that all our CIs are being maintained and updated and so on. So it's very important for me that we have a configuration management plan when we start on this journey, because we want to make sure that even after 6 months, this CMDB is still fresh and we can trust the data. So I believe that's one of the most important processes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And maybe the last question here for today. So far, we don't have any more. So the last one would be, what are the prerequisites for starting with ITOM?
The prerequisites for starting with ITOM. Of course, there are some technical requirements we want to start, but I think that a general prerequisite is that you have to have a clear picture or understanding of what you want to achieve. So meaning that you have to have an end goal. I see a lot of customers wanting to have a CMDB because that's what other people do and other companies do. And it must seem quite simple, but spend some time looking at the end goals and what you're trying to achieve. So while you're doing these different steps, you always have an eye on the prize. So spend a little time figuring out what, why, and how you want to do it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. That would be all to the questions for today. But of course, feel free to get in touch with us so we can answer you whatever you would like to discuss with us. So yeah, feel free to be connected. And before we will jump to the end, I would like to just thank you from my side, because it's been a great pleasure to host this webinar. And I personally hope that the information provided was helpful to you, that there was something new in it for you. And I would like to also invite you to other Devoteam events this and the next year. And actually, we have the one already being scheduled. So I will leave the floor to Michael to tell you a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So a quick note on this is that we will from Devoteam we will try to predict some predictions for 2022 for specific workflows. So I'll take the ITOM part, and we'll have some for different kind of workflows within ServiceNow, and we'll try to be a little bit bold and to see if we can hit that nail and see what 2022 will look like. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be very fun.
That's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. We are looking forward to that, and we are looking forward to meet you there, of course. Okay, so thank you very much for attending. Thank you very much for being here with us. Yeah, that's all for today, and we wish you very nice the rest of the day.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice Advent. Bye-bye.